Now is the time. A time you'll look back on. A time you adopt as inspiration. You will recollect this time. This moment, right now. Motivate yourself towards success. Overcome. Take over. The time is now.
Hello, and welcome back to Loaded Mag. Chris, how's it going?
I'm all right, mate. Oh, you're not setting me up for something here, are you?
No. Would I do that to you, Chris?
I thought you were going round in the loop. I was thinking, why is he asking me? No, I'm absolutely fine, mate. Yeah, cannot complain. How are you boys? You both good?
All good.
All right, mate.
I
know why
Ricky.
Daz. I know why Daz didn't come to me first, because that's because he didn't hear that like live on the show that I called him a dick, but then he did when he heard the you actually rewrote it. So I know why Daz is speaking to
us. Chris, what did Richie say?
Daz, we've already got now. We ain't got time for that, like, mate.
Don't think anyone's ever asked me to translate anything.
Yeah, that was funny. Anyway, let's get straight into this, because we were originally going to have Bronwyn on. Sorry, Adam. But that's going to be rescheduled. Bronwyn is busy this week. Of course she is. She's setting up her launch, getting ready for her launch, so she's going to be busy. So yeah, we will get her back on as soon as she's ready to go. We'll put on the show. We'll reschedule that show. But so we got our heads together and we said, what could we come up with for a show? So and Pete may join us shortly as well. He just has to pay the electricity bill. He's getting something fixed. And Martin, unfortunately, he's busy at work, so he couldn't join us. But we said what we'd do was we'd come up with an idea, and I'm going to get rid of the banner again so we get the full picture. Here we come up with Squad Game. So I kind of spin on Squid Game, which I've never actually watched. But so we said what players we want to keep, what players we want to sell, what players we want to loan out, or what players we want to just give away. Or terminate, I think was the word I used in the tweet. not literally. But so that's the idea of this game. So maybe we get straight into it. Or Anthony, anything wants to say first before we get straight into it?
You need to watch Squid Game, Daz.
Is it good?
Good.
It looks fairly rough now.
Have you seen a bit?
Fairly violent.
Nah, the daughter watched, but I've got none of this time for like subtitle stuff. I'm one of those that, I just like to watch it and take it, not be able to look and have to read it at the same time. So I haven't got time for it, mate, unfortunately.
Yeah, I must admit what do they call it? Where like they talk, but they try and make it look like they're actually saying it.
Dubbed,
when the dubbing.
The dubbing is bad. It is bad, but you kind of forget that after a while, and then you just get really into it. But yeah, it's a good watch, and apparently, Squid Game 2 is coming out soon, so might want to get warmed up, Daz. Yeah.
Maybe you never know.
That's next season's Squad Game 2 next year, not Squid Game.
Squad Game 2, yeah.
Squad Game 2, yeah, absolutely.
That'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to that one already. But look at people are saying, when are they going to start talking about Newcastle? Right now. Okay, so let's get into it. So this is our full squad. I think it's around 30 players or so. I put now, there's players in the U team and stuff as well. I haven't included those. It's just really those who are touching the first team. I know there's a few that's getting onto the bench recently as well, but not including them in this. It's just we're going to focus on the mainstays of the team, or just around the first team. So we're going to do keepers first, but when we get to defenders, midfielders, and attackers, we'll focus individual. But maybe we'll take all the goalkeepers together. So what I've done is here. I'll explain. I'll put it up and I'll explain it. So I've taken each of our players, and this is the keeper position, and put their age down and when their contract expires. So, and you'll see when we get on to defenders, midfielders, if someone is going to be move up in age in the next couple of months, I've gone to their next age, let's say. So I've added a year on them. So just because we have kind of an accurate picture going into the start of next season. So first up, keepers. For me, this is my comments first. I would be keeping Dubravka, but I wouldn't necessarily be having Dubravka as first choice. I'd bring in a keeper to battle out for the goalkeeper position with Dubravka. No, I've no issue with Dubravka being our number one, but I just want someone to battle it out with him. So keeping Dubravka. Carl Darlow, who is the same contract length as Dubravka, but is 2 years younger. I'm selling Darlow. I think you sell Darlow now, you'll get a bit of a profit on him. I know we bought him from Notts Far, so I would sell Darlow. Mark Gillespie, I'd get rid of him. He doesn't, for me, he doesn't do anything. He played in a few cup games, but I'd look to even bring in another kind of journeyman, let's say, that could sit on that third, fourth kind of goalkeeper in the squad. So I'd get rid of Gillespie. Freddie Woodman, not as young as you might think. He's 25. His contract is up at the end of June 2023. I would be looking to loan Woodman out. Again, this loan hasn't worked out with Bournemouth, but loan him out again, or even sell him with a kind of a clause in there that we could buy him back again. Agree a buyback clause with selling him out, so that way, if he does turn out to be exceptional and cut it in the Premier League, wherever he might go, build his way back into the Premier League, then we could go back and buy him again. So for me, then of the keepers, the only one I want to hold on to is Dubravka, and the rest I'm happy to let go in some shape or fashion. I know that would mean we need to bring in 2 or 3 keepers, but or promote someone from the U teams like Dan Langley or something like that. But that'll be my thoughts on keepers. Who wants to go next? The keepers.
You go around the house. You go, Mitch.
Right. Okay. We'll just go around the houses. Right. Well, for me, if you look at the 4 keepers, I think it's obvious that the one that you're definitely going to be keeping is Martin Dubravka, because at this moment in time, he's the number 1 choice, full stop. Whether that's going to be his number 1 choice next year is a different matter. I still believe we need to bring another goalkeeper in who is of equal or better standard to Dubravka. Just to, obviously, we need to be in that line of progression now. Regards to the other 3, now I'm a little bit different to what Daz says. Now, I think because of look at the contract situation, I don't think Carl Darlow will be happy to sit on the bench again for another season going forward, or even be the 3rd keeper, if we bring another one in. So for me, I'd be looking to probably sell Carl Darlow. He's got a contract there, decent length on it. You'll probably get some decent takers, bottom end of the Premier League, definitely Championship level. Whereas with Gillespie, there's a year left of his contract. I'd probably keep him, but literally is that 3rd choice goalkeeper, because he doesn't break up trees. When he plays, but it's his hometown club. He's happy to be part of the set of what's going on. If one of the 2 goalkeepers gets injured, he'll be happy to come on and make the bench to cover, sort of thing. So I think that I would keep him. Then obviously you come around next year again when his contract's up. Then obviously you reassess again for a 3rd choice. I think the difficult one's Freddie Woodman. Obviously you've got another 12 months on the contract. Now what you could do is you could either sell him, you could, as Daz mentioned, you could do it with a contract where they've got an obligation to buy. Like we say we add an extra year on the contract, and then we still get something for him, sort of thing, like a 12-month sort of deal. Or you could offer him a bigger contract again, and then loan him out again. I think what the summer will do is for Eddie Howe. I think Eddie Howe will be able to spend a bit more in time and look at what Woodman can give. Bournemouth have had a bit of a hitty-missy season. I don't know whether he's just struggled to settle in down there. I don't know. But you look at his other 2 spells when he was at Swansea. You know, he was getting the Golden Gloves when he was in the Championship with them. So perhaps it's just a loan move that hasn't, panned out the way he wants from. You don't know, but I know obviously there's interest from Bournemouth taking him on a permanent deal. So I think that one's the difficult one to say. But for me, Darlow out of the four would be definitely on his way next year in the summer.
Okay, so you're getting rid of Darlow, Richie, and you're happy. You want to keep Gillespie.
I'm keeping Gillespie. He's just a bench warmer.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I mean. And he's not going to. Doesn't affect your FFP and your wage structure very much. And then you know, obviously with Woodman, you've got a few possibilities with that. You can sell him, extend his contract, or and then loan him out. Or obviously, there's a lot to go with that. I think you need to have a close look because you look at him when he was an England under-20 World Cup winner. He's a good goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? And he was ahead of people like Sam Johnston and Henderson, who are a similar age to them. So there's a good goalkeeper in there. It's just whether we have seen the best of him. You know, when he came into a team where the confidence was really low at the start of this season, when Darlow and Dubravka were injured. If he was to come back in now with the feel good confidence that's around the place and stuff like that, you might see a much better keeper.
Okay, cool. Cheers, Richie. Chris, we'll go to you.
Yeah, so for me, Daz, I'm probably more edging towards what Richie said, if I'm honest. I'll start off with Dubravka. Yeah, I totally agree with you, lads. I think Dubravka has to stay next season and challenge for that number one shirt. No guarantee that he's going to keep it. Like Richie and yourself said, Daz, you know, he's going into next season. I think we're going to bring in competition. I'm not 100% convinced that Eddie Howe thinks he's the number one going forward. And similarly, I think me personally, I think there's doubts over it as well. He hasn't quite looked the same player in recent times, if I'm being honest. I would say Carl Darlow's got to go, in my opinion. I think his time at the club's come to an end. I, like you rightly said at the start, Daz, I don't think he's going to be happy sitting on the bench. I think he probably wants to go and play football, and that's credit to him. So I would sell Darlow. With regard to Mark Gillespie, I think I've banged this drum many a time, haven't I, boys? But for me, as Richie's just said, I think you keep him because ultimately, Richie, when he mentions about the FFP, he'll be on low wages. He's happy to be here. He doesn't expect to be in the starting 11. He probably doesn't expect to be on the bench. I think he's just happy to be in and amongst the squad. He's 30 years of age. To renew his contract, I imagine he's probably on 10 grand or less a week. He's one of those players who is just happy to be in around the squads. I mean, prime example, you look at the likes of Scott Carson at Man City. He's gone to Man City and he's probably thinking, wow, how lucky am I to be here? He doesn't expect to be in the team. He doesn't demand to be in the team. Yeah. So he's a good body to have around. Now, in regard to Freddie Woodman, I'm probably a bit more scathing here. I don't think Freddie Woodman's going to get the opportunity to be the number one at Newcastle. I really don't. I think his time would have come by now. So I think it's time to probably move him on. And you'll notice there he's got a contract till June 2023. I think now is the time to cash in, get whatever money we can for him, and just move on and wish him luck. He could have been managed better. I think Pete spoke about it in the past. I think he could have been managed better under a different manager. Obviously, he was under Bruce for a number of years. You know, had he been given more opportunities, maybe we wouldn't be talking like this. But I think Freddie Woodman's time at the club's done. So for me, we keep Dubravka, we keep Gillespie, and we bring in a new number one to challenge Martin Dubravka. Mark Gillespie's going to be happy being number 3, and either Dubravka or the new goalkeeper that we bring in will battle it out for the number 1 position. And that's how I see it. And we only need 3 goalkeepers, lads. I mean, we saw, didn't we, that we had 4 keepers in the squad at one point. That was due to injuries and suspensions and whatnot. But yeah, I would. That is what I'd do. And by the way, I'm keeping a little list of who I'm getting rid of here, because I've kind of said in my own head, I don't think we can let go of more than 8 or 9. Because we can't start getting rid of 13, 14, 15 players, because we're just not going to sign that many. So I'm on 2 at the minute, and that's Darlow and Woodman to go.
Yeah, I've done the game. I've got 7 definites to go. So you're right. You can't let too many go, because it's all about the new people coming in, gelling and stuff as well. So it's a difficult one, and that's why it's a good show to be part of.
I'm all on for terminating. I do see your point, guys, and Gillespie, and I did think of that as well. And then I was thinking, oh yeah, there's probably another journeyman kind of keeper that's coming towards the end of their contract that you could bring it in place of him. And like, let's say the likes of Mark Schwarzer as well. In the past, they've come in and they've gone to Chelsea, or they've just the end of their career, and they're kind of backup. And I was thinking then they could maybe help out in kind of a bit of training for the keepers are there, or whoever we bring in as well, just kind of to bounce off, because I don't think Mark Gillespie is going to offer very little, but I see what you mean. He's not going to be playing anyway. But just, if we get to a stage where he has to play, it'll probably be someone from the new team that will play. I think at this. Maybe I'm being over.
I think one thing I've got to clarify regards to my comment on Woodman, and it is I don't see a future at Newcastle. I think it's just how we deal with it going forward, because, as I said, every manager he's played under first team wise, it's pretty much been Steve Bruce. And we've seen the Steve Bruce effect on a lot of players in the squad. It would be interesting just to see what he's like in the summer, even if that gives him a contract extension for another year, put him on loan, and then he has a fantastic season wherever he is. Or whether he comes back in the summer and we go, look, no, it hasn't, and then we sell him. I don't really think he's not going to be here like going forward. It's just there's a few different options how I think we can approach Freddie Woodman.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, Richie. Okay, we're going to leave keepers and we're going to go to defense. And actually, before we do, I'm going to just mention that anyone that hasn't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button even in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and it'll just give you
help us.
It's free, and it's hit that like button as well. I'm kind of running out of ideas how to describe that subscribe button. But let's go to the defense, and I've got two different views to look at for the defense. First view I'm going to give you guys, and we're going to take each of them one by one here. Whereas we took the keepers in the group there, each of them one by one. There's this view, and I think we'll concentrate on this view. I've also have it in kind of more formation kind of look.
Of course, yeah.
But this is the first view. Let's go for Kieran Clark. For me, definitely Kieran Clark. In September, Kieran Clark is 33. He's served us well through the championship. He was brought in for the championship. He's a contract for another year, let's say June 2023. But for me, definitely get rid of Kieran Clark. His time is up.
Clark,
should we all go around for that same? Yeah, it makes sense. Does yes, okay.
I think he's gone. Yeah, simple as that. I think we've all had our say on Clark, especially this season. He's proven a couple of games this year. He's been an absolute liability when he has played, unfortunately. And that's no disrespect to him. I think he's always been a lower Premier League or Championship class player. And I think it's with his age now as well, let him go and play in the Championship for a couple of years before he retires, in my opinion.
Big shout out there to Dallas Schwartz. Thank you very much for subscribing, mate. Really, really appreciate it as always.
Become a member. Nice one. Even better.
Good man.
And for $1.99 a month, you can become a member too. Just hit that join button. Chris.
Clark. Yeah. Just to let you know, boys, he's been added to the Word document. Kevin Clark, it's a no-brainer for me, boys. Yeah, I think his time's up. The friendly kind of said it all, didn't it? The shove on Pookie, which really cost us 3 points if we're being honest. And then the friendly when we were in Saudi Arabia. I just think, unfortunately for him, and it's no offense to him, and he's been a good servant of the club, and I hope people don't forget that, because he was out really, really good in the championship for us, and unfortunately I think he was signed by Dafa to kind of get us out that championship and maybe integrate us back into the Premier League for the season, but he's long overspent now. Kevin Clark's got to be one of the first people to go, in my opinion.
Cool. Three for three. Kieran Clark gone. Next up is Dummett. So Dummett's contract expires at the end of the season. He's going to be 31 in September. I'll be sad to see him go, but I'm letting Dummett go. but he's been a good servant to the club, but he's always injured. That's the only thing. And I think we can't be carrying players that are going to be always injured. If you told me that he was going to be for the rest of his career, he'd be stay fit, I'd keep him. But that's not going to happen. So for me, he's gone.
Do you know what? And I hate to say this because he's a Geordie lad, but you've got to be ruthless now. We know we're not in that. Oh, do we renew him for 12 months or anything like that? Or we know we're not in the situation where we can afford to bring someone back on the players you played. Like we did with Andy Carroll last year and stuff like. We're in that next stage of sort of moving on now, going forward. I know he's probably on the list to be brought back in for next season on the free transfer because he's fitter than Wilson at the minute. So
Speaking of Andy Carroll, here's our own. Hey, Pete. Welcome.
Hello, mate.
Oh, where'd you get that from?
It's one of our landed, Pete. Sorry.
Anyways. Sorry, Pete, you were saying that, Craig?
No, just saying what's going on, people. Everyone good?
We're just on to our Geordie lad, Paul Dummett, to see where we stand on him. So I'm just saying that, as I said, he's a Geordie player. I'd love to see him, part of Newcastle going forward, but his contract's up. He's always on the bench. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, I'd love to give him in a romantic sort of world, so give him a new contract and stuff because he's a Geordie. But you're at the stage, as I said at the start, you've got to be ruthless. And unfortunately, I think the guillotines come down on Paul Dummett's Newcastle career.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right, Rich. Sadly, he has been added to the Word document, Pete, and just to keep you updated. We're all keeping tally of who we keep, who we sell. I've opened myself a little Word document up, and I've already got a list of players who are going. So I don't know, Daz, whether you want to go back to Pete and get his opinion on the ones we've been on. But yeah, for me, I agree with Rich. Sentiment-wise, it's sad. But I think as soon as this takeover happens, we've got to move on from the likes of Paul Dummett. Again, fantastic servants. Wish him all the best. But I think it's time for Paul Dummett to move on.
Do you know what, Joe? Because I think we could see him somewhere like Middlesbrough next year.
Yeah. I think that's a fair shout. Yeah.
We'll give Pete about 5 players, 5 or 6 players to think about. Yeah. Okay, first up, Pete, Paul Dummett. What do you do with him?
He's definitely gone out the door for me. A great servant for the club. The one thing that we haven't done with players is give them testimonials. He's the one that deserves a testimonial. Yeah. So for me, give him his testimonial in the summer. Fantastic servant for the club. When Alan Pardew never thought he was going to make it. 10 years on, he's still here. Fantastic to be at the club for this long, but he needs to move on. I get the Geordie sentiment, but we're looking at quality players now that are going to take us to the next level. That's the priority, not about where they, in my opinion, not about where they come from. Yes, it's nice to have 1 or 2 local lads, but the priority is making sure that the players are good enough. I would move him on. That is for sure.
Cool, Pete. We'll stick with you, and we'll go with Kieran Clark next for you.
Do I even need to answer?
No, you don't need to answer. So Kieran Clark is gone for Pete as well. And so then for you, Pete, the keepers. What's your thoughts on the 4 keepers?
Well, I'd be scrapping 3 of them if I had the choice.
The same as me.
And to be fair, for very different reasons. So Cole Darlow needs to go. I'm surprised he stayed this long. Why he signed a 5-year deal last season, I have no idea. He's a goalkeeper that should be playing at the top end of the Championship, maybe the lower end of the Premiership at max, but he should be playing every week. And we need to move players like that on. He's gone stale. He had a good little spell last season, but other than that, that was our moment to sell him. At the end of this season just gone, that was our moment to sell him. He had a good spell last season, and people were talking about him for England and Wales. We needed to cash in on him at that point, and there were teams interested. He needs to move on. Freddie Woodman, it's a shame really, but I've talked about this quite a lot over the last 6 to 8 months, I've said that Newcastle United have failed Freddie Woodman. Freddie Woodman should be where the likes of Jordan Pickford are right now and playing regular football at a Premier League club, and should be fighting with him and Nick Pope for England. That's the reality, and we failed him through bad loans and bad management. And at 25 years old, as it says on the slide that you showed us a second ago, at 25 years old, he should be wanting to go and play football. He's at Bournemouth now and barely getting a kick. He should want to go out and play regular football. And when he has, for a team like Swansea, he's nearly got them promoted to the Premier League. So, it's harsh, but move him on, get a bit of a fee for him, put that into the coffers. Mark Gillespie, I would move him on, but I think he'll stay just because he's very happy being the goalkeeper. And, why rock the boat on that for a goalkeeper that's not really going to be used very often, if at all? So ideally, I'd move him on, but and this is really interesting here. That comment that just came up just before Simon Davies one is that I read that today when that came out about it was. I think it was Man United and Tottenham that were looking at him.
It was Man United and Tottenham. Yeah.
And what that said to me straight away as soon as I read that is that Dean Henderson's leaving the club in the summer. Because I think if he's going to choose between Tottenham and Man United, I think he chooses Man United. Personally, and I think he'll be choosing Man United on the basis that Dean Henderson leaves the club. So that will be interesting and one to keep an eye on, that's for sure. But yeah, Mark Gillespie, ideally I'd get rid of him, but if he's just going to be sitting there twiddling his thumbs and not actually being asked to, which sounds really weird, if he's not going to be asked to do anything in goal and actually play a game, then yeah, I'll keep him. Hey, cool.
I must admit, keep him for the summer.
I must admit, Pete, just touching on what you said about bringing up the Sam Johnson one, I actually like the call of us going back into Henderson because I actually still rate it was a.
What happened, Richie?
Does someone not like what we were
okay?
just saying there?
I don't know. I don't have a clue what happened there. I said just going off what we said about Sam Johnson there. I actually think that Henderson's a better keeper than Johnston. So
I
think that's a fantastic. I think it's a fantastic move.
Okay, cool. We're up to date. We're back on to defenders. Next up is Fabian Schär. His contract is out in a couple of months' time. And there's talk this week of some news coming out. He's 30 years old. So for me, it's get him a new contract and keep him with us. He's playing really well and he's grown under Eddie Howe. So no brainer, keep him.
Right, I've always liked Shaw since the day he came to the club. I thought he'd been fantastic. So it's actually quite amazing to hear Daz actually changing his tune over the last 6 months.
There's reasons behind it. It was Rafa, good. Bruce, not so good.
Yeah.
Eddie Howe, good. So that was my logic. And he was kind of pissing me off at times. But yeah, so I think around the house, we're all keeping a Schär.
Mate, all I've got to do is that.
2 or 3 year contract, yeah. I think it'd be a 2 or 3 year contract.
Mate, do you know what, Rich? When me and Pete were at the Tottenham Stadium, when Fabian Schär come running over to the away fans and you see that, there's just it's like the Rafa glasses in the pocket thing. When you see Fabian Schär doing that, just love it. For me, he's definitely worthy of a squad place. I think he's got all the talents, and he's had some shaky moments, and you could put that down to Bruce, you could put it down to Rafa, you could put it down to whatever, but the talent's there, and he's a regular for Switzerland. I think he's happy here, I'd keep him.
I think another thing to touch on Schär before Pete answers is it's the same as along with Dan Burney, because obviously we know Dan Burney just came in the January window, and obviously he's going to be a part of the project. He offers flexibility. So if we decide that we want to play 3 at the back, he can play that right side of a back 3, a bit like what Dan Byrne can play the left side of a back 3. So if you want to play 3 at the back, you've got that flexibility with those 2 as well. So it gives you an extra option as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mitch.
Keeping them, Pete.
Yeah. Look, if we go back a year ago or just over a year ago, I think I was quite open and honest in saying that I think Fabian Schär he's only turning up in the big games to put himself in the shop window. And I felt he was, and this probably maybe reigns true, that he was ideally looking to leave the club. But what he's shown is under a proper manager that he's tactically able to play and play well. But equally, as what has already been mentioned, he's been able to play in a back four, which is key, because that is the way I think Eddie Howe is looking to go in the future. So definitely give him a contract. If the articles are to be true, he wants to stay. He's even, I think it's already been mentioned that he's referenced Newcastle is his first option to stay at the club. So yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. He has to stay.
Cool. Sure in. Next up, Lascelles. So Lascelles is 28. His contract is June 2024. I thought about this one, and I'm going to keep him. I'm going to keep him as a squad player. No, I'm not. I'm taking the captaincy off him. I'm not giving the captaincy to Trippier, but I'd keep him as a squad player. I know Martin won't be happy to hear that, but I don't care, Martin.
Daz, I think, you know what, I completely agree with you. He'll lose the club captaincy and the overall captaincy in the summer. But you've got to look at the list of this. You know, we're looking at possibly Drummond going. You're looking at Clark, who we've already discussed. So there's two people who play at the back who have gone anyway. And I imagine there's going to be one more that we're going to talk about in a minute. He'll probably be gone as well. So that means you can't really get rid of Lascelles. His long-term future probably isn't with the club, but I would say his short-term future is.
Yeah. Chris?
Yeah, do you know what? I've changed my tune a bit on Jamal Lascelles, and it's mainly in no small part down to my Microsoft Word document, because
it's all about this document.
Yeah, I know it is. It is.
Bestseller.
Yeah, me and Pete were talking about it the other night, and you know, Pete made a really, really good point when we were doing the. I think it was on NUFC Matters, or it may have even been on one of the away day shows. But he was saying, you know, you can't throw everyone out the door head first. And I think Jamal Lascelles, yeah, I don't see him playing a big part in the team going forward. Certainly the 11. But I think there's more players that we need to get rid of. And like Richie's just rightly said, in 2 or 3 years' time, he won't be here. But for now, I don't think we need to urgently kick him out the door. Unless, of course, he wants to leave and he wants to play first-team football. Because if he knocks on Eddie Howe's door and says he wants to play first-team football, I would imagine the answer he's going to get is we can't guarantee it. Yeah, he'll just be like, no. So it's up to him. It's up to him.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Pete?
Tell you what would be a cracking shout for Lascelles, and for the possibility of going if Forest got promoted.
Yeah.
That's the only possibility I think he might leave in the summer.
Him and Darlow.
Yeah.
That's where we got them, wasn't it? Him and Darlow.
And there's a possibility there with Brennan, isn't it? Who was linked to us at Forest. Brennan is his name.
Johnson.
Yeah. Brennan. Okay, that's it. Yeah. So
you can have two players. We'll have Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone said that the other night, to be fair. Someone on the Matter show mentioned that about Brennan Johnson coming this way, and obviously Lascelles and Darlow going the other. But I mean, for me, I've already mentioned this a number of times. I think, you know, Jamal Lascelles has probably got one more year. And I know there's a lot in the chat. I know Dallas and Truls and a few others have said, you know, get him out the club, get him gone, blah blah blah. Look, he will go eventually. He won't be playing many more games for Newcastle United, that's for sure. But what it means is that there are more pressing, and I think Chris has touched on this as well. There are more pressing players that need to move on in order to bring better players into the club right now. And I think I mentioned it a few weeks ago. With every squad of players, particularly with centre-backs, you need 2 right-sided centre-backs, 2 left. And I think Shaw and Lascelles would be one of the 2. What we don't have at the moment is the balance. So Kieran Clark's not in the squad right now, who would be the balance of the other left-sided centre-back. But let's face it, he's not good enough. But you've got Dan Burn as the left-sided centre-back. We're going to be looking at another left-sided centre-back to come in, who will be of significant quality that actually will probably push Dan Burn for a starting berth in that team. And for me, I think what we will then look to do is keep Lascelles as a backup to Shaw for the next season, and then Lascelles will move on, and then we will upgrade to a proper top level right-sided centre back that will then bring Fabian Shaw into that reserve or backup centre back, and we'll have a new first choice centre back pairing. And that's what proper teams do. That's what they do over a period of time. So
keep building on what you have.
Of course it is. It's a building process. And although we're frustrated that the Lascelles might not move in the summer, be confident that there's a process there that I think, looking and seeing what's going on at the club right now, from my perspective, is that that's what they're looking at doing, is transitioning those players out slowly but surely. You know, the likes of Clark, Fernandez, they're gone, like, for me. And I might be jumping the gun there, is what I'm saying. But I think, you know, that's part of the process for me. Yeah,
cool.
I'll leave it there.
Cool.
That's basically what Michael Pomar said there. Peter left that up on the comments. We need depth. We can't buy 100 players this summer. People forget that. It'll be a slow process to finally get to where we want to be. People like Lascelles will need to be kept.
Exactly.
The only thing I disagree with that is that I don't think it'll be a slow process. I think we'll move on more players than probably what we need to. But I think Lascelles is a player that probably we could get another year out of. But yeah, I think
if they're not on Chris's Word document, they're not going anywhere. That's the rules.
No,
that's
right.
That's how important this Word document is. Going straight to Amanda.
I think it's clear that what they say about a slow process. A slow process for me is something where you only make 3 to 4 changes this summer. It's going to be on a bigger scale, and that's you probably look like it, as Pete said, it's probably going to be more like a medium-sized process, because I think realistically, what we've already touched on, you look at it, probably going between 6 and 8 people going out the door. That's not a slow process. That's not a long-term process. That's probably a medium term, because, as we said, you can't get rid of everybody.
Exactly. We'll move on, lads. Let's go to the next up is Jamal Lewis. Yes, tricky one with Jamal Lewis. He's 24 years old. He's a contract till June 2024. It's unfortunate that he didn't go out on loan. And I know he was kind of slightly injured as well, I think. I'd like to keep him to see what would become of him, but does he want to stay? Is he going to get much games, or maybe it's a send him out on loan kind of approach and with him? So maybe I'm going to say send him out on loan, Jamal Lewis.
For me, I would like to keep him. I still don't believe we've seen the best of him. You've got to realise that at the moment, we've got Target playing there who is on loan. That deal has to be made permanent, obviously. If it isn't, you're still looking for another left back in, because realistically, the other left back, like proper out and out left back, is Paul Dumpton. We've already said he's going. So you're still going to need him in the team. To be fair, we've said this numerous times on this show, Jurgen Klopp what to buy Jamal Lewis. So there is a player there. So what you've got to look at, one of the reasons apparently he was left out the squad, he's been nursing a niggling injury for the first half of the season, and it wasn't, he wasn't 100% fit. So on that sort of, it's once again one of these where you get him in over the pre-season, judge what's going on, and even if you bring Target back, tell Lewis to come in and fight for his place with Target. That's for me what I would be doing. It's not an immediate area in my eyes that need to be, replacements brought in for.
Was it just me, or did Richie go quiet there for a while?
Yeah, he just went.
Okay.
His voice
yeah, 3 seconds. I thought he'd stop talking. I was waiting for Chris to start. I didn't realise he was still talking. It was like 3 seconds. It just went off. I don't know why.
At least
I'd basically keep him and just put him as a competition between if Target comes in and Lewis, because at the end of the day, there's other places in the squad in my eyes that are a priority than left back if you've got Target and Lewis.
Yeah. No, do you know what, Rich? I'm not gonna expand much on what you've just said, because I completely agree with you. I think Jamal Lewis needs to be kept. We saw that, we've heard about the injury, and we saw when he came back into the team that he was performing really well, and then sadly got that injury again. And I do believe he's only a really young lad. I do believe he can still have a future at Newcastle. But like you say, Rich, give him the summer, give him till January even, and assess him, see where he's at. But yeah, he wouldn't be one of the people I'd be looking to get rid of. I think we keep him and either Matty Target, which I'm never going to touch on in a minute, or a new left back. I think it'd be them two competing. And then don't forget, excuse me, if Paul Dummett's going, we've got Dan Bain as the third choice if we need to play him at left back.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Pete, Jamal Lewis.
Yeah, Jamal Lewis. The one thing I'll say about Jamal Lewis is that if Liverpool are looking to sign you, you are a good player and you're a player with significant potential. So therefore, for Newcastle United, at the stage that we're at, we cannot discard this player as someone that that's not good enough. You cannot judge Jamal Lewis on his year or year and a half stint under Steve Bruce. He hasn't had an opportunity to be coached, to be managed, to have regular game time under Eddie Howe. You look at Joe Linton, you look at Fabian Shaw, you look at a number of other players, John Joe Shelby, for example. They've all benefited from having Eddie Howe and playing regular football. For me, I'm not going to discard Jamal Lewis right now because there's a reason why Liverpool were interested in signing him. He's a talented boy at 24 years old, still got bags of time left in his career, nowhere near his peak. He's a shoo-in for me. And like, as Richie said quite early, a little bit earlier on, he will be coming back in pre-season, absolutely gunning for that first team spot. At the moment, Matty Target is playing because he's on loan and he's in a position where he's number one because there isn't anybody else. If we do sign him on a permanent deal in the summer, he's going to have competition big time for me.
Cool. I'm happy to keep him. I don't want to see him go either. I just think he needs game time as well. Whether he'll get that, let's say Target plays the full season, or apart from a handful of games, then he's a backup, I suppose, no matter what. So yeah, let's keep him. Let's move on. Matt Target, 27 in September, on loan to us at the moment from Villa. Definitely sign him. If the rumors are true about the 15 million. Definitely sign him up for that.
Yeah, agree. Keep it simple, agree.
Yeah, I think I'd sign Matty Target as well.
He's not on the document. Good, Chris.
No, he's not.
Chelsea just took the lead, by the way, if anyone interested.
Ooh.
Okay, let's move on. Kieran Trippier. He is 32 in September, contracted until June 2024. I'm definitely keeping Kieran Trippier and giving him the captain's armband.
No brainer. Move on.
No brainer.
Yeah, no brainer. Fabian, give him Fabian.
That's going to be the new thing now, Chris.
Yeah.
When it's a full house, just do the Fabian show.
Okay, tricky one here. Emil Kraft. He is 28 in August. He is contracted until June 2023. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put two together here. Emil Kraft and Manquillo. Jeremy Manquillo, who is 28 in May, so they're identical to playing the same position. Kraft's contract is up in 2023, Manquillo 2024. So for me, one of these has to go. I would keep one, but I'd be looking to bring in a younger kind of backup for Trippier. So I would get rid of one of Kraft and Manquillo. And I find it the way Kraft is playing at the moment, he's playing well. I don't know. I never thought I can't make my mind up on these actually. I don't know. Toss a coin for which one I keep.
Do you know what? I would. If you'd asked about 3 or 4 months ago, I would have said. But the resurgence of what Kraft has been since this like the turn of the year.
Sorry. The key word you said, we couldn't hear it.
Yeah, you were like, if you asked me what I'd say, and then the volume went.
There's only 1 second this
time. I think it's his resurgence in the last three months. Under Eddie Howe, like along with a lot of the other lads as well. he's proven why he was an international fullback. Don't get me wrong, he doesn't set the world alight, but he's, I think we touched on it the day. He was unlucky against Everton. When he got injured, and obviously he had to miss out, and then he came back in when Manquillo went off at Spurs and looked pretty solid the night at Wolves. I would be leaning towards keeping Kraft because you don't get to become an international. I don't give a shit what country it is, whether it's Kosovo, or whether it's Germany, or whether it's England or Sweden. You're an international defender because you're an international defender. We said this all along about Fabian Schär. You don't play for Switzerland and go to numerous major tournaments if you're not a good defender or a good player in that position. So for me, I'd be keeping Kraft, and if I was to push one, it would be Manquillo.
Fair enough, Richie. Chris.
See, I'm gonna stay loyal to Javier here because for me, I totally agree. I think Emil Kraft's really improved. If you ask me in 2 or 3 years' time, he kind of falls into the Lascelles bracket. In 2 or 3 years' time, do I see Manquillo or Kraft at Newcastle? I don't. It's about getting with the one now. Like you rightly said, Daz, one will go, and then maybe in 6, 12, 18 months, I think the other one will go. But purely for consistency and the fact that Manquillo's very, very rarely let us down. I don't recall ever saying, "Oh, Javier Manquillo was terrible." Throughout the time, we've been doing the shows, and albeit I do believe that Eddie Howe might have made his mind up, and he might shift Javier Manquillo out. But I just think the fact he can play left back as well, just gives him the edge for me. But like I say, 2 or 3 years time, I don't think either will be here. But for me now, I would keep Javier Manquillo at the club, and I'd get rid of Kraft.
The Liverpool connection. So you're keeping it.
Yeah. I can't help it, Daz. Can't help it.
Pete.
For me, I think Kraft has been playing better recently than Manquillo, which is why he's been starting more games. We talked about it on away days. I put Manquillo in the team to start against Wolves, but I thought that it wouldn't surprise me if Kraft was starting because Eddie Howe seems to be able to trust him a little bit more in that position. However, I think Kraft will probably get a bigger fee in the summer if we sell him on. So therefore, I think it's a perfect opportunity to give him game time for this season, to put him in the shop window, to move him on, keep Manquillo, because like Chris has said, and he's absolutely right, Manquillo's never, ever moaned. Never moaned. You don't see him in the media or in the back pages complaining about not getting regular game time like maybe one or two others over the years have. And if he's happy to stay at Newcastle, which it seems like he has, wasn't long ago he signed a new contract, I'd keep him. So Manquillo for me, I think Manquillo is a better all-round fullback. He can do things better going forward. He's got a better delivery. He might not be as fast as Kraft, but he's probably a little bit more intelligent, and that's important. I think Manquillo is the one that I would keep personally.
Okay. Just things about Manquillo. Sometimes he does play people on side. The odd time it cost us a few times. And Kraft used to wreck my head. But he's been playing well recently. So I see where Richie's coming from. But it's still a toss of a coin the way it's going. But so it'll be interesting to see what Eddie thinks. And it's what he sees every day in training, what he can get out of them going forward. But I think we all kind of saying that whoever does stay, they're kind of more third choice right back, and bring in someone new, young and new to kind of challenge Trippier.
I don't know. Just to add to that, Daz, I don't know whether right back will be a position we look to strengthen in the summer. I think it will be one that we'll strengthen in the next 12 to 18 months. I think one of them will go first, then in the following summer or the following January, the other one will go, and then we'll bring in the replacement right back, probably to possibly overtake and replace Trippier in time to come. Okay. Because as we know, I think Trippier is 32, is he? So a couple of years time, we may look to move him on.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's move on. Next up is Federico Fernandez, who is 33 and his contract is out on June 2023. So for me, your time's up, Fernandez. Look, he was great for a while this season. Whatever's going on with him, it's not happened. He hasn't played any games for us, and he was good under Bruce. He was good under Rafa. But yeah, it's time is up. Time to move on.
Yeah, he's been a fantastic servant since he's come into the club. And it's a shame he has to go, but we're on a different level going forward now. And as we said before already in the show, we can't be sentimental. So unfortunately, I think Fernandez will be shown the door in the summer.
Sorry, I was just laughing at that comment from Julie. I hate this because I love Fede Fernandez.
Oh, here we go. I
do. Do you know what I love about him? And do you know what? It was someone in the chat. I forget who it was. It might have been Yano actually, and he was saying, I'd rather keep Fede than Lascelles. And do you know what? Like, there is a part of me that agrees with that because I know Fede's getting old, and I know that he's not the quickest. He's never been the quickest. But I just love his professionalism. And apparently he's fantastic in the dressing room. And I fully believe that. And, having watched the Three Amigos over the past 6 to 12 months, allegedly, he's had a lot of personal issues going on. And that's why he's not been involved much in the team. And I do feel sorry for him a bit because I think, again, he's one of those players who doesn't really let us down. So, I mean, really, yeah, he's got to go, hasn't he? He's got to go because we have too many centre backs. But if somebody said
document,
no, I don't even want to put it in the document. I'm gonna
type it now. Do it.
Yeah, go on. I'll type it now. Go on, Pete. You step in, mate, while I type it.
I'm not gonna. Sounds horrible, but I'm not gonna waste too much time on Fernandez because he needs to move on. I'm not gonna waste any more time than that.
3 for 3. Sorry, 4 for 4. Fernandez is gone. Next up is down at the bottom of the list here is Dan Burn, the man mountain Dan Burn, who will be 30 in May. His contract is to June 2024. Definitely keeping Dan Burn.
Yeah,
have to do it, Pete.
We were all like that. Come on, Pete.
There we go. I was expecting to go how at the end.
I love that.
So yeah, that was the other view, and look, I'll tidy that up again, and we can mark who we were getting rid of and the different positions. Let's move on to midfielders, and I'm going to change direction this time. I'm going to go around by Pete back to Richie just to mix it up a bit. So midfielders, Joe Linton, who is 26 in August, whose contract is in June 2025. No brainer, keep Joe Linton. As a midfielder, keep Joe Linton. Pete.
Yeah. Move on.
You know what? It would just be easier. Just Dad, you know what you do? Change tack a little bit, right? Just after you put the name, just put the screen up. See who's doing that, right? And if no one's doing that, come to them for their reason why they'll get rid of them. That's probably an easier way to speed it up.
The only thing I'll have with Joe Linton is that I think he'll get a new contract in the summer. Personally.
Yeah, I agree.
Bigger one.
Yeah,
maybe more wages or something. Man, I don't know. But you imagine he's on decent money as a striker, but now he's playing midfield. But
I'd to extend the length of the contract.
Yeah,
I think we just extend that out.
Okay, next up, John Joe Shelby, age 30, contract is June 2023. I'm keeping Shelby for a year.
Yeah, for the year.
Yes, I'll keep it. Now, if it was last year, I'd be getting rid of Shelby, but this year, I'm definitely keeping Shelby.
Yeah.
Right. Matt Ritchie, age 33 in September, contract June 2023. I am getting rid of Matt Ritchie. I was getting rid of Matt Ritchie a year ago. Here we're going. Pete's going. Oh, this is going to be one for Chris. Chris is going to be sentimental. Oh, and Richie.
Get mid. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. No, he's going.
Getting rid. Yeah, if it's getting rid. Yeah, I just thought
we're all getting rid.
No, get rid.
Yeah, gotta go.
Going back to the south coast, lads.
Yeah. Okay, so we're all getting rid of Richie, but we thank him for his service, of course, and he was great for us through the years. But his time is up. Isaac Hayden, age 27, contract June 2026, big contract. For me, I love Isaac Hayden, but for me, his time is up. Chris is going. Pete's going. Richie.
He's got to go.
Okay, tell us your reasons why, Richie.
Come on, Rich.
The reason I just don't think we've got another player who's defensively minded in midfield going forward. That's literally, and I think it'll only be another 12-month thing though. I think by the end of next summer he's gone. I'm just looking at, obviously there's other midfielders that we've got there as well who Longstaff's out of contract, nothing's been renewed with that yet. We've got his younger brother who's away somewhere, on loan at bloody Mansfield at the minute. Do you know what I mean? So you're looking there. There's possibly 2 midfielders going off. So are you looking to be bringing 3 midfielders in? Obviously, Rich goes well. Class is a midfielder as well. That's 3 gone. I'm just trying to balance the numbers up a little bit. That's all. I just think he might be one because of the length of the contract and his age. It might be someone that he can work with. And obviously, he was left out of the squad because he needed the operation and wasn't fully fit. So yeah. I still think there's possibly 12 months there.
Okay, yeah, I suppose what kind of fee they would get from him as well would maybe determine and push it over the line.
The one thing I'll say from Richard's point of view is that that's what the summer window's for, to replace those players. You're absolutely right. I think defensively, he's been relatively solid, but we can go out and replace that because we've got players in there. In the bulk of the team, you've got Joe Willett, Joe Linton, John Joe Shelby, Bruno Gomes. They're the 4 that you can bank on. You'd probably say 5 with Sean Longstaff as the 5 midfielders that you've got really to go from. So really, you've got the likes of Jeff Hendrick out the door. Sorry if I ruined that in advance.
Shouldn't have been let in the door.
Yeah, you know what? Even more so, he shouldn't have been on your list, guys. He should have just been discarded from the list.
I'd forgotten about him.
Is he not even on the list?
No, he is, but it was an afterthought. I was like, oh fuck it, Jeff Henry, put him in.
I just think that Isaac Hayden is a player that if we sold him this summer, we could probably get a decent fee for. If you keep him for another season and he doesn't play games, your fee that you command for him drops significantly because he's not playing.
How long's left on his contract?
Yeah, let me see. Hayden is June 2026.
So even if you sell him next year, you've still got 3 years on his contract to sell him, and he'll be 28.
But if he's not playing, Rich, if he's not playing, that's the key. Is that if a player is not playing regularly, like if Isaac Hayden before we got his injury was playing regularly for Newcastle, so you could see from that point of view that he's kind of he's playing regular football for Newcastle in the Premier League. So therefore, Newcastle can demand a bigger fee for him. I think it wasn't long ago that Brighton were interested in him and willing to pay the best pot of £10 million for him, which at that point was a significant amount of money. He's not played the last part of this last 6 months. Is he really going to play and be a starter or play any type of football next season with the current midfield that we've got? That's discarding the fact that we could then grab an additional player in midfield to then complement that and put him even further down the list. So he must be thinking in his mind, if another midfielder comes in, that's going to put me further down the list and I'm going to struggle to play even more. If we do keep him for that season, which I understand your reasons for that because of the role that he plays in the team, but it just means that you've got a player there that's not going to play, that might not even make the 25. He's not in the 25 at the moment, and we've got a set squad as it is. You just got to think to yourself, is it worth just having the conversation with him now and saying, look, you're not going to play very much. You're a player that maybe should be playing at the age that you are. Go and get yourself playing football, and then we can get a better fee for him, which means, and it's all about this fee for fair play. If we're getting money into the club for players being sold, it means we can spend more elsewhere. And that's just my thinking. But I understand what you're saying.
No, see, I agree with what you're saying there regards have the conversation with him. Tell him where he is. Who would you always appreciate honesty up front straight away. So if Eddie Howe turns around and says, look, I want you part of the 25-man squad, but I can't guarantee you game time. You know, if Hayden accepts that, then fair enough. Do you know what I mean? That's. But for me, I just think he's there as cover for the next 12 months. That's it. As I said, you know, we don't know what's going to happen with Longstaff. We're presuming he's going to be part of, you know, of a new contract. Possibly the same with Shelby. He's got 12 months. But as I mentioned, with Richie going, you know, Matty Longstaff's still got under contract. But you imagine they'd sell him and get him on his way as well. I'm just trying to think about who you're losing, and you know, I still think we're going to look to buy 1-2 centre midfielders anyway. So you know, if 2 go out, 2 come in, and it just keeps the squad a bit stronger. But there you go.
Okay. I'll tell you what, boys, it's really split the chat, Hayden, because you've got people saying keep him, people saying get rid of him. So he's probably been the most interesting one out of everyone.
Yeah, I love Hayden, but I think it's time to move on. Did you meet him, Richie?
No.
Oh, I thought you meant. I thought that was swaying your opinion. Okay. Right, let's move on. So
I got a different show in it, Daz.
Is it? I'm sorry.
It must be if you.
I thought you met him at one stage with some kind of
no, the band did. I haven't. The band met all the players. The band met all the players because we went into the Christmas party, so we got to meet all the players. And so I didn't. I just had to stand in the background and do jack shit.
See, that's where I knew I saw a picture somewhere. Okay, so next up is Jacob Murphy, age 27, contracted to June 2027. I would let him go. I would, if we got a good offer, I would let him go and bring in a replacement. I'm afraid. I know he does a job every now and again, and I know if you're worried about getting rid of too many too soon and so on and so forth, but I would get rid of him. Pete, gone. So let's go for the.
Just a quick refill. Sorry, my bad.
So we're on Jacob Murphy, and I'm saying get rid of him.
Yeah, I can't remember what show it was now. I had a conversation, and I made a point about it was either going to be. I felt this summer it was either going to be Miggy or Jacob Murphy that goes.
It's last night.
Yeah. They all merge into one. I forget.
Yeah, they do.
Let's take both of them together.
We touched on it on Sunday as well, didn't we? Because we were surprised when he came on ahead of Murphy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, for me, I think if any of them are going to leave, it would probably be Jacob Murphy. So I would say for him being sold. For me personally, if I was to choose between the two, I don't know. Did you just mention that, Daz, about maybe having them?
Yeah, if you want to put the two of them together, you can. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
Let me go from.
Go on, Daz. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just. I have Miggy in the attacker, so I'm going to put him here. So Miggy is 28 and contracted to June 2024, whereas Murphy is 27. And contracted to 2027. Yeah. That's so funny.
I'm laughing at Yano's comment there.
This is the thing. Are we really going to get anything close to 12 million back for Jacob Murphy?
No.
Let's face it, look, he's a Geordie lad with Geordie background, and you know he loves the club. He loves the fact that he's playing for the club, but really, all in all, it was a bad signing. It really was. Yeah. It was a signing that ultimately Rafa Benitez won. He wanted another player. Effectively, he wanted Andros Townsend. That's who he wanted in the January window in the Championship. Before that, he wanted to bring him back. But ultimately, I think if you're going to choose, but if I had to choose between Miggy and Jacob Murphy, I'd choose Miggy.
You know what's an even worse signing though, Pete? Giving him a new 6-year contract last summer.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. We all said that at the time. What was going on?
We're going to take a hit.
Sorry, I'm going to step back to myself a second because I didn't get to talk about Miggy. I am selling Murphy and Miggy. I'm sorry, I'm selling both. I think, and I'd sell Miggy before I'd sell Murphy.
Wow.
Chris.
Oh, okay. Tell us why. Hold on.
Okay, tell us why.
You can't move it on now, Daz.
Okay. I don't mind telling you. I think Miggy is done. I give. Remember we were talking about ASM, and I said I'd give him one more season. That one more season for Miggy was this season, and it hasn't worked out at all. I know he did play well. He got a nice little flick, and he did do well when he came on as a sub after 10 minutes for Fraser. But no, Miggy is done, and I think he's better off in Spain. Give him a shot there, and I think it'll suit him better. Everything that would, and he's 28 as well. He's not like he's 24. You know, he's get something now while we can. People are giving me abuse now. And Murphy, I'm getting. I never really rated Murphy. You know, I think we got the wrong twin. What's the other twin doing? But no,
he was actually better.
Was he? Yeah. I don't know. Murphy, he's a okay squad player. Look, I'd keep Murphy before I keep Miggy. I think because Murphy can fill in at right back. And we said earlier that we were going to get rid of one of Kraft and our Mankio. And if we're not getting another right back, it might be no harm to keep Murphy running around there for that kind of option. It's last resort putting him in there as a right wing back. But that's why I'm keeping. I would, if I have to keep one of them, I keep Murphy. But ideally, I'd like to see both of them moved on and get something for them while we can.
No, I think that's a solid enough reason for sure. No, I think it is.
I find myself agreeing with Pete and Daz to a degree, which I know sounds odd because you've both said the opposite, but like I could see both going. But again, the list is getting bigger. And
new page.
It's getting huge. And you know what? This show just kind of highlights it, doesn't it? Because I look and I think, you know, to go with what Pete's just said, if you gave me a choice and said you can only keep one of them, who would you keep? I'd keep Miggy. But also, I am thinking, you know, Miggy will have a bit of sale on value. And if someone came in and said, here's 10, 15 million for Miggy, would I take it? I probably would. So I suppose it depends on who's interested in him. Could we use him as a make-weight deal? I know that's been discussed as well. You know, if you offered me some fantastic right winger and said, oh, by the way, you've got to lose Miggy, I'd say, okay, no problem. There you go, have him. Or let him go. But then ultimately, you know, does he fall into the Jamal Lascelles bracket and the Javier Manquillo bracket where we go, he's not going to be here in 2 or 3 years' time, but do we need to keep him for now? And if we had to keep one of them, I'd keep Miggy. But I do think Murphy's got to go because I don't want to see Jacob Murphy anywhere near the starting 11 next season. I'm not going to lie. Even if he came on as a sub, even when he does come on as a sub, I'm just like, oh God, because I just don't think he offers anything, which is horrible to say, but I don't.
Just on what you're saying there, Chris, right? Look at the contracts for a second. Miggy, who's contracted to 2024, so he's 2 years, whereas Murphy has, well, I don't know how many years left. Lots.
12.
Yeah. So, like, you're going to get your value on Miggy is reducing. So, if you keep Miggy for another year, he's 29 and he's only got a year left in his contract. You'll get feck all for him. Whereas you're going to get the most from him now. Whereas Murphy, you will get more. You can keep him for another year and then sell him. You still get a decent. Well, he's going to be 28 then. There's much of him, and I suppose finance doesn't really come into it an awful lot for us with what's in an offer.
Yeah,
Daz, you're getting some stick in here. Yano's,
bring it on. I don't mind. I was waiting for this takeover to get rid of this shower of shite we have in this team. Like, some of them have proved themselves to me. Like John Hinton stepped up, Shelby has stepped up, but there's still some there that they're getting too old, like Richie, and like so they were never good enough. So I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the future. I'm building on a project. I want a foundation to build on, and that's the way I do it.
Hey, nothing wrong with Richie's age. What are you having to go in for?
Richie's the same age as me.
Come on, Daz. I tell you what, you're hammering everyone at the moment.
I'd love to be the same age as Matt Ritchie, 33.
Matt Ritchie, I'm joking. But no, I agree.
Is it my turn now? Is it?
Yeah,
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Right, do you know what? It's a difficult one for me because if we're looking at how Eddie Howe's going to be playing going forward, is he going to stick with a 4-3-3? If he's going to stick with a 4-3-3, in my opinion, it makes it an easy decision to get rid of Miggy because for me, he's not a winger. He's never been a winger, and unfortunately, don't get me wrong, I think there's a player in there, as we've said before. He's an international. You don't become an international if you're a bad player. I think the issue with Miggy Almiron at Newcastle is he's never, ever been played in his best position as a number 10. He's not a winger where he always tends to be stuck on one of the flanks. If that's the case, and he's going to be playing 4-3-3, I think you need to keep Murphy. I know. I think you need to keep Murphy because as we touched on with Almiron, I think he could probably revive his career somewhere else abroad, Spain, France, somewhere like that, and you'd get maximum value from this summer because he's got 2 years on his contract. And even if we come around to selling Murphy, say next year, he's still got value with Murphy going as well. I still believe we need another winger. We know Fraser can play on both flanks. Maxi floats between the two. But if there's an injury to one of them, you want to rely on Murphy as your backup. I still believe we need another winger to go. But for me, it would be Miggy that goes.
Okay, cool. Maybe we'll try and speed it up a bit, lads, as well. Joe Willock, I definitely keep Joe Willock. He's 23 in August. I see Pete, the swing of the arm, contracted to June 2027. Yes, we're keeping Joey Willock. He'll come good again.
For now, by the way.
For now.
For now.
Yeah, for now.
I wouldn't
2 years.
say 4 years. I really wouldn't. He's going to have to up his game, Pete. I'm telling you. I mean,
I think you'll be there another at least. You'll be part of the squad for at least another 2 years, possibly 3.
I think so too. Yeah.
He's 22 years old. He's still got room to develop.
Yeah, he has.
And ultimately, this is what Arsenal didn't do to him. They didn't lay down an ultimatum. They didn't say, right, you've got to work for your place. You're going to be in the team. He's come to us on big money. What is it, £25 million deal, although paid over a number of years? Yeah. He's got to prove himself now, because if he doesn't prove himself, he's already proved. Like, him being out on Friday has given Bruno Guimaraes the opportunity to get into the team and play the way he did on Friday night. Bruno Guimaraes isn't going anywhere. So now Joe Willock is now in training looking at Joe Linton and John Joe Shelby and saying, that's my only way back into this team, because the way that Bruno Guimaraes is playing, he's not going to be dislodged. So he's now going to have to perform in training. He's now going to have to, in my opinion, come off the bench against Leicester and Palace and Norwich and really perform and score goals to prove that he should be starting. So, yeah, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. But this is what we want players to do. At 22 years old, they should still be proving it. And that's exactly what needs to happen. If he's going to be... I remember I touted him at the back end of last season. I said, if he could replicate that form, that I think he'd be knocking on the door for England. After his recent performances, when he was regular in the team, I thought he should at least have had a call from Gareth Southgate to say, you're in my thoughts, keep performing the way you are. But if he doesn't up his game, he's not even going to get in the team, let alone England. So, yeah.
Cool. I see. I am getting loads of pelters in the chat, but from my clear out. But look, it needs to be done.
He love you, really does. He love you. Really.
Yeah, I know they do. But yeah, we'll move on. Next up, Sean Longstaff, age-24, contract out in June. What's going to happen is we're going to keep him, and I would keep him as a squad player. Jordy Ladd and so on and so forth. Age-24, how might still get something out of him. Give him 2-year contract and see how that goes. He wants to be around the project.
Who's this?
Sean Longstaff.
Sean Longstaff.
Oh yeah. No, I'd keep Sean Longstaff. I would. I think as a squad player, yeah. For the foreseeable, I would.
Pete,
not for me. Sorry, it's not for me. I think he needs to move on for his own career.
Eddie will keep him though, Pete. To put it,
as Daz has just said, we expect him to sign a new contract for maybe another 2 or 3 years. I expect him to stay at Newcastle, but if it was up to me, I wouldn't keep him because I think, look, in this, and it goes back to the point where we talked about, and Richie made a great point about Isaac Hayden, about potentially keeping him for another year in the squad. And there's a lot of that I kind of agree with. And for me, it's the same situation. Hayden and Longstaff are in the same position right now. Neither of them are going to dislodge any of the current midfielders that are fighting for those positions right now. Shelvey, Gameres, Joe Linton, Willock are all ahead of Sean Longstaff and Isaac Hayden. So they come as the same package, really. They're both in the same situation at the moment. The difference is that Sean Longstaff's got an out. He's got an out game in that his contract's out in the summer, so he could effectively go and move elsewhere. And I'm being totally honest. And you guys, get your points in if you think I'm being wrong or you disagree with me. If Rafa Benitez was still manager of Everton, he wouldn't be here right now, or he would have at least signed a pre-contract agreement to leave to go to Everton. So, for me, he was already 50 to 70% mindset was already out the door. He wasn't prepared to stay at Newcastle. So for me, I'm in the mindset of that. If your mindset was not staying at the club, regardless of whether you're a Geordie or not, then why should we be prepared to keep you? And especially if you're not going to break through and smash the current midfielders and prove your worth. He hasn't hit the heights of Rafa Benitez when he was previously at the club. And for me, I think he needs to move on. And that's my personal opinion. But you guys, you're right. He will sign a new contract. He'll stay another 2 years. I think in 2 years' time, it's going to be a lot harder to get rid of him than it would be right now.
I'll just clarify what Pete said. Pete, I think he'll sign a new deal, but I'm with you. I would sell him.
Yeah.
If I'm honest with you. Going forward, it isn't a long-term part of the plan. But obviously, it's one of those areas where you can't overhaul half the squad. That's the problem. And I think, as you said, yes, I would let him go, but I've got a feeling he'll sign a new contract. That's just round up.
Yeah, I agree. You can't get rid of everyone.
Yeah.
I might try, but you can't get rid of everyone.
There was a comment just down there about me wanting Paqueta and Marino to be brought in, hence for the clear out. Why not? What? Yeah. I would rather Longstaff and Hayden leave and just bring one quality, fantastic centre midfielder that could go straight into that team. Like, it's a no-brainer for me. I would take Longstaff and Hayden out the club to get one of Paqueta or Marino in, whichever one, because either one of them instantly improves our team. Those two players are not bottom half Premier League players right now in their current ability. Their ability instantly brings what Bruno Guimaraes does, is that makes them a top 10 football team in their midfield. And that's exactly what needs to happen right now. So I would take the hit on both of them to ensure that one quality midfielder is brought in. And then you've got Shelvey that's going to be fighting for his place. But you've got Bruno Guimaraes, one of Paqueta or Marino or another midfielder of equal quality that comes in. You've got Joe Linton, you've got Joe Willock, you've got Shelvey, but you've got those five midfielders that are a top midfielder, a good midfielders on the day, top midfielders in Bruno Guimaraes and one of the others that may be signed. So I just think it's a, I love this because it's a fascinating conversation because everyone's opinions are different. Yeah. I love the fact that Richie's talked about Hayden. We've already had Manquillo's conversation. Would we, wouldn't we? It's great, but everyone's got a different opinion. I love it. Brilliant.
I think you're right as well, Pete. It's fair to say, we're saying we can't let 10, 12, 14, 15, 16 players go, but realistically, because of the position we're in, we can. It's just that maybe we don't see that happening. But no, I take your point. If you said to me, we're going to be bringing in a top centre midfielder, then, the likes of Longstaff, the likes of, Matty and Sean, the likes of Hendrick, the likes of Hayden, there's not going to be a place in the team for them, is there? And if we can bulk out the squad elsewhere, if someone said, if you get rid of one of them extra, you'll have an extra striker on the bench, you'd take it, wouldn't you? Or an extra winger or someone like that. Because it's a dead squad place, isn't it? Because as much as I think we'll keep Sean Longstaff, I do see your point. And, going forward, again, will we keep the likes of Sean Longstaff? I personally think we will, but I do see your point as well, Pete and Mitch. I think you're spot on what you say.
Right, and just what Chris is saying below, that we're definitely going to do a show, a kind of a turn on this when Chris has his Word document together. We'll do who we think we should come in on. So that's one to look forward to as well. So yeah, let's move on.
I was going to say, Daz, I've literally got 4 minutes. So I was going to say, do you want me just to quickly skip through who I'd keep and who I'd go for whatever reasons? So that's all right. So I'm going to go in like 4 minutes to pick the pen up from the train station. But just going, if we obviously, I think everyone we know we're going to keep Bruno. That's inevitable. I think Hendrick and Longstaff are gone, obvious reasons. I'd like to keep Elliot Anderson around the squad over the summer, and then possibly send him out on loan again. But I still think his long-term future could be at Newcastle, possibly extend his contract. And in regards to the attackers, I think it's if you look at, we've already discussed on Almiron. I think if you look at who's there, the top 4 are all back next year. You keep all 4 of them. Dwight Gale's gone, and then obviously we'll look to bring in someone of the ilk of Darwin Núñez, someone like that as the replacement for him, sort of thing. But as I mentioned before, I'd still look to probably be bringing in another winger anyway, as well.
Oh, cool. Cheers, Richie. And I know you have to go shoot off, but thanks for joining us, and we'll see you.
I've enjoyed that, lads. I've enjoyed that. And I'm just good I could have finished the show off with you.
We could be here all night yet.
There's plenty more down the road, Richie. Don't worry about that.
Oh, I know that we've got loads to talk about this summer. Loads.
Absolutely.
Catch you in a while, Richie. We'll crack on.
Yeah, I shall see it. Lads, have a good away days tomorrow if I don't see you, and I'll possibly before the end of the week before the Leicester game.
Yeah.
Nice.
Take care, Mitch.
Good night, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the show.
See you later.
See you, Richie.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on to Bruno. Yes, I want to see this all around.
Bruno.
I know, Pete. Two hands for this one.
Love Bruno.
And of course, Richie was keeping.
Look, little side note here. Did you guys see the embrace of the two magicians at the end of the Wolves game? Bruno and Matt Ritchie. There was a little small clip of Ritchie giving Bruno the biggest hug, like putting his arm around him and giving him a real embrace. And I just saw it. It was a really quick clip on Sky. Bearing in mind, I've watched the game back twice now, the full 90 minutes. One of which was with my daughter, who asked to watch the game, which I was, as a dad, I'm just like, this is amazing. She doesn't even realise she's going to the game on Sunday. But, I've got her a ticket. She knows we're going to Newcastle, but she didn't know she's going to the game. So like, she was watching the game with me. And I saw that embrace, and I just thought, wow, I didn't see that live. And I just thought the two magicians there, we sing the song about both players, and it was amazing, like, to see. But it was just amazing that Richie personally went to him, put his arm around him, and really gave him that, like, kind of embrace, as if to say,
he didn't hit him.
No. With a hand, wrist up on the head. It was a real kind of like meaningful embrace, like of appreciation. Loved the fact that happened, and that just shows the class of Matt Ritchie. I just thought I'd add that in there.
Do you know what, Pete? Just to quickly tail on to the end of that, you're absolutely right, and that it's things like that. I didn't see it myself, but it doesn't surprise me, and it's things like that which is why Matt Ritchie was kept in and amongst this squad for that very reason. That very reason, because he's an absolute professional, and you can imagine him behind the scenes, being made up with him, saying is right, even though he's not getting a game, he's not getting a look in, he all he thinks about is the team and the results, and that's why he's in the squad.
Yeah. All right, we're all getting Bruno. Jeff Henry, age 30, contract. Yeah, their fingers are going. We're all getting rid of him. Yeah. It doesn't matter what his contract is.
Jeff.
Never wanted him here in the first place. Good luck, Jeff. And Matty Longstaff is next, and he's age 22, contract to 2023. I want to see him go out and loan to a championship club this time, and just to see what he'll do. That's what I'm thinking of Matty.
I agree, Daz. I think maybe give him another extension to his contract, maybe a year or two. Send him out on loan, see what happens. If he comes back from his loan, it hasn't happened or it hasn't kicked on for him, look to sell. But I'd give him another year or two personally. I think we don't want him out on loan and then leaving on a free. So I'd sign him up,
No.
a bit like we do with Woodman. I'd sign a little extension for him, send him out to a championship club and say, come on, go and show us what you can do. And then, we'll have a conversation at the end of the season. That's what I'd do.
Yep. Pete?
Yeah, I can't not agree with what Chris has said. I personally think that Matty Longstaff is not going to make the grade at Newcastle. I think he'll go on another loan in the summer. I think it'll be a decent loan, but I think after that we'll probably look to sell him. And it's such a shame because of the way in which he came into the team, scored the goal against Man United, scored the goal against Man United at Old Trafford as well. And it was like, we genuinely, I think we genuinely thought we had for the first time in a long time that we had a young player that was coming through the squad that could be a first team player, just with the right loans and the right kind of nurturing. And it just hasn't happened. And I feel like those last 2 years that have been lost have really been detrimental to his career at Newcastle. I still think he'll have a really good career professionally in himself, but I don't think it'll be at Newcastle because of the way in which the takeovers happen, the way in which we're moving as a club right now.
Yeah.
We're a snowball right now. We're just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think he's going to miss out on that boat slightly. So, yeah, I agree with Chris. I think he's going to get another loan move to somewhere maybe higher up, maybe League One, maybe mid to bottom of the Championship. And then I think he'll end up getting sold personally. That's just my opinion.
So do I. I think that's where he's going as well. He's going to be sold, but after that loan, and I think, if he does well in the Championship, it'll bring up his value. So at least we should get something for him then as well. And someone said about his loan in the Scottish League with Aberdeen, wasn't it? And under Stephen Glass, but that just didn't work out at all for some bizarre reason. We'll move on. We'll go to Chris, if you could just remove that. I think it's Elliot Anderson. Yeah, Elliot Anderson, 19 June 2024. Definitely want to keep him. But I want to see him going out on loan to a championship club to see what he can do. And even if that means as well, that loan would be kind of a little sweetener so that if there's someone we want to the championship, example, the guy from Notts Forest, I think Sean Casey made the suggestion, to do that. So for me, send him out on loan and keep him.
Yeah, rinse and repeat for me. Same as Matthew Longstaff. I would send him on loan to a championship club, see how he gets on. Although, someone said on the NUFC Matters chat when me and Pete were doing the fans forum yesterday, which I thought was a nice idea, maybe if Bristol Rovers get promoted, leave him under Joey Barton's stewardship and give him maybe till January in League One with Bristol Rovers, because that's going to be a tough ask for him anyway. But at least he's in and amongst a squad who believe in him and who will give him regular football. Whereas if he goes to a championship club, he could find himself sitting on the bench, and that's the last thing he needs. He needs to be playing regular football. And if Bristol Rovers are made up with him, let them keep him and let him progress.
Okay. I think that's I remember seeing that comment, and there's part of me that agrees with that, because when you've got a manager that believes in you, and the way in which Joey Barton has talked about Elliot Anderson, he loves him. He loves him. The fans love him. Every time Bristol Rovers tweet about Elliot Anderson, some of the fans have said he's the best player to play for the club. They've gone to that sort of lengths about how good he is. The only thing I will say is, from a selfish point of view, from a Newcastle point of view, is that I believe he can play higher. And I think we alluded to the fact on the show that he was very close to going to Luton, and Luton are in and around that playoff picture in the Championship. So if he would have gone there and maybe played really well there, that would have showcased his abilities at the top end of the Championship. Emmett from the fans forum, yes.
He was on there. Emmett. Good man. Good man.
Brilliant. And comes up with some fantastic questions as well. So, Emmett, get your questions in, because I know you've come up with some fantastic ones beforehand. Just from that perspective, I just think, for me, from a selfish point of view, I want him up there. I want him in the Championship. I want him playing at a high level, because I personally believe that he is the next player that could that could not just break through to the first team, but sustain his position as a first team player. He's the one player since maybe Sean Longstaff, but certainly since Andy Carroll. He is the next one player that I believe that's got the talent to properly break through in this Newcastle team. Even with the players that we're signing right now, he just looks like he's got an immense level of talent. And I think, if ever we need to manage him from a loan point of view, Show Ramiobi in particular, who's got a lot of stick recently, this needs to be managed very, very carefully because he's a top-level player.
Exactly. Chris looks like he's paused there. Okay.
Chris has got sleep.
He's meditating. Okay, we're done with midfielders. We're going to move on to attackers. But just before we do, just to remind people to subscribe, the red button bottom right-hand corner of the screen beside Pete, if you're watching this back. And as Dallas has done earlier today, if you want to become a member, hit the join button. It's $1.99 per month. Gets you to the prize draws. On to the attackers, and we've talked about a few of these already, so it should be quick, I'd say. Callum Wilson, HRD, contracted to June 2024. I would definitely keep Callum Wilson. I know the injury record with Callum Wilson. I definitely keep him for a year. See what happens next year. We need him. We need him back. We need him now. But yeah. Anyone for keeping Callum Wilson?
Wilson? Yeah. No, I was going to say, Daz, do you mind if you flash that back up? I'll just give you my opinion. To be honest, the only ones I've got doubts over on that list are Miggy and Gale. I think Gale goes. For me, I think that's a no-brainer. Miggy Almiron, we discussed before, so I won't go into too much detail, but I think if we get a healthy offer for Miggy Almiron, or if there's a chance of doing a swap deal, and we know that we're going to bring in a top level player, which I've got no doubt we will, I would certainly consider Miggy. But for me, I would be keeping Fraser. I would give Chris Woods another 6 to 12 months. I think he deserves it. And, having a player like him coming off the bench, he's going to cause problems. So I would keep Chris Woods. Obviously, I'm keeping St. Maximin, and I'm definitely keeping Callum Wilson, like you said, for at least a year. So for me, that list is quite simple. Gale gone. Miggy, let's see what happens, but the other four stay.
Okay. That's fair enough, Chris. That's your ones. Maybe I'll just go for all the strikers as well, and then we can close it out as well. Keeping Callum Wilson, as I said, ASM, I'm keeping for next year, and just to see what happens. See, can he get a bit of consistency? I would consider selling after that, though, if it doesn't work out, because he'd be 26 at that stage and another year into his contract. So Chris Wood, I'm going to keep him. I know he doesn't score that many goals, but he offers something different as well, and the knock-ons and link and play. So I think he'd be a good squad player to have around, because I want two new strikers in. Ryan Fraser, definitely want to keep him. Miggy Almiron, I've already said that I want to get rid of him. His time is up, and Dwight Gale, his time was up a long time ago. Please, someone take him in the championship. Please. That's me for strikers. Pete.
Yeah, if you want to stick him back up, I know you mentioned about Callum Wilson potentially looking at him for another year. I'll be honest with you, Callum Wilson will want to stay at Newcastle United. I think Callum Wilson will not want to leave Newcastle United in the trajectory that we have, purely because this will be, in my opinion, the biggest club that he plays for in his career. I think once he leaves Newcastle, he's only going down because of his injury record. So I think he's going to want to hold on to playing for Newcastle for as long as humanly possible. Alisson Maximin, I love him. And we need to get behind him as a fan base. We need to support him, because at 25 years old, he's only going to get better, in my opinion. Here's where it becomes interesting, because for me, Chris Wood reminds me very much of a Daryl Murphy, in that he's come in, he's done a job for the team, and a very good job at that. Look, I think he'll probably stay for next season, but don't be shocked or surprised if in the summer he is maybe touted, or there's links to him moving to another club.
Yeah.
In that he's been brought in to do a very specific job at this point in time. if we had Callum Wilson fit, would Chris Wood have been signed for the club? I don't think so. I think there would have been another striker signed, maybe an Ekatike. Maybe we would have gone bigger on somebody else. And I think we would have gone in a different direction to Chris Wood. Now, Chris Wood has done a great job for us, scored a couple of important goals. Great. But don't be surprised if there's a move elsewhere in the summer for Chris Wood. And yeah, during the team, I've said Darren Murphy did a great job for us. Didn't play every week, but he scored some important goals. I always remember that goal against Huddersfield away in the Championship in a fantastic win. And he played his part. Fair play to him. And then he moved on and was quite happy to do that. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Wood does the same. If it's not in the summer, maybe in January, because he's not going to play football next year. With the strikers that we're looking at and the potential that we're going to bring in, he is not going to play football because Callum Wilson's going to come back. Callum Wilson will naturally be the second in command to whoever we sign as the main striker. Chris Wood becomes a third wheel. And it will get to the point where Chris Wood will not want to be a third wheel. Ryan Fraser will continue playing for the club and he'll continue to get better, in my opinion. We've talked about the Miguel Almiron. It'll be a possibility. Will he, won't he? Will it be a Miguel Almiron Murphy double sell, or will it be one or the other? I think, Daz, you made a great point. I think it could well be both of them that are sold, but I think maybe it might be one of the two. And it's basically a toss-up of which one it could be out of Murphy or Almiron. And Dwight Gale just needs to be paid off. I think, that would be one of the first things I do. Pay him off, get him sold, or get him paid off so he leaves the club on a free, and then he can continue his career. If Dwight Gale tries to fight to stay at this club and refuses moves, right? That just has Henry Sarve and Ashraf Lazar. Yeah. It kind of smells of me, and that's really weird.
He's want to play football. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Yes, I understand you're on a significant amount of money. You don't want to drop down because you want to support your family. I get that. But as a professional footballer, you look back at your career. Yeah, you should want to play football. Dwight Gale's in the peak of his powers right now, or should be, as a striker at 30 years old. Regardless of whether he's playing in the Championship or a lower down, Premier League club, he should be playing football. I just think it's a really, really important time for Dwight Gale professionally to want to move on and play football elsewhere. And I think we need as a club to move on from the Dwight Gale saga because it clearly hasn't worked in the last 3 years. Yeah. What's that from Charlie? Don't necessarily rate Wood, but I think next season it could be a different option. Yeah, and Charlie, I completely agree with you, but it's kind of like it will get to a point with Chris Wood, as it did with maybe Andy Carroll, and it may hopefully do with Dwight Gale. At 30 years old, you know that your career is short as a player. And players that are motivated to play at the best level and the best level that they can play at should be motivated to want to play regular football. Yeah. And Chris Wood, knowing that we play with one striker up front, knowing that we're actively looking for a top-level striker to come into the club, knowing that we have Callum Wilson as a backup, effectively, Chris Wood should be really looking and saying, right, okay, maybe I'll give it 6 months until January, but after that, I need to play football. And you know what? No one will begrudge him with that. And you know what? He'll go away with our blessing and a clap from the fans to say, you know what? At that point in time, you played a key role and he'll never, ever be forgotten for that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I think we're all in agreement with that. We wouldn't be. I don't think any of us would be crying. Maybe Martin would if he did leave. But I guess he's okay for another year. It's just another option. Throw on when we need to batter someone if we need to. For a goal.
Whether we want to go for two strikers or not, for me. If we go for two strikers, then Chris Wood could go. If we only go for one striker, then I imagine he'll stay, and it'll be Wood, Wilson, and the new striker.
Yeah. Okay. That is it for the list, and that's. I'm sure you've had to change the font on your Word document, Chris, just to get them all on the one page. But
12, I got that.
Yeah, 12.
And that was me being careful.
You know what? I'm gonna tell people about the shows that are coming up first. And Pete, you'll be happy to hear I got the poster done. So I don't have it set up yet, but tomorrow, 7:30, it's away days. Tell us about it, Pete.
We've had a late minute addition to the show.
Another one.
You've been on this show, so I apologize. I really, really apologize. But yes, first and foremost, Jordan Cronin will be joining the Newcastle team of panelists with regards to the away days, looking at the big game. Certainly for me, being a Leicester lad, in terms of Newcastle Leicester. Jordan Cronin's going to be joining us to give his perspective on how he thinks the game's going to go. But we've had an addition from the Leicester side of the coin as well. So, so we've got a Leicester Till I Die podcast that are going to come and join us alongside Ben. Ben is, at the moment, he's kind of trying to juggle the Champions League with his work at the moment, and obviously the potential of coming on to away days. So we've got Leicester Till I Die that are going to come and join us for the first time. So I'm excited to welcome them onto the team. And they're going to join us to talk all things Newcastle Leicester. So we're going to have a full house, to speak, from the away days point of view, but it'll be great. You know what? I've already got predictions in with lineups and all sorts. The tactical board's coming out. It's going to be it's going to be a fantastic chat. So really looking forward to that. Jordan's going to be joining us. Ben, fingers crossed, will be able to join us. Leicester Till I Die are going to be making their debuts on away day. And it's going to be fantastic to watch. If you've watched the Brighton away days with Chloe, Leicester Till I Die, and Chloe are an item. They'd obviously watched our show on away days when Chloe came and joined us from a Brighton perspective. Now Leicester Till I Die are going to be joining the team as well. So a packed house, lots to talk about. Away days tomorrow from 8 p.m. Don't miss it.
So is that another loaded blind date we organised there? No, or that happened outside of loaded? Who knows?
Potentially, yeah.
Also, then coming up on Sunday night, Easter Sunday, Richie is insisting that this is going ahead on Sunday. I won't be there, but Richie's going to run this anyway. Is the review show? The reaction show, which is back on Sunday night after the game. So that's one to look out for as well. And of course, Adam and anyone in the chat, as I said earlier, we're going to reschedule the show with Bronwyn to a later date. Bronwyn is pretty busy this week with setting up the site, which goes live, which leads me into the sponsors. I should mention the sponsors as well. So we've got blackandwhitearmy.com and 1881, Bronwyn's clothing line, which goes live on Good Friday, I believe. Also, shout out to shybarnes.com. And if you remember, we had who was in the chat there earlier as well. We had Simon on with us there on the birthday show, and we flashed up the range of clothing that Simon has, and someone purchased one of his hats as well, using the code he gave us. And shout out as well to pinsandprints.com. Dean, we had a prize giveaway for Pins and Prints as well, and the range of that Dean has, and there's loads more. Go check out the website. That is it. Chris, I know you said well over time. You might be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, the divorce papers, they were out last night, and I reckon the ink is going to be wet now.
Sorry, Chris.
Oh, well,
sorry. The good thing is loaded blind date is there if you ever need it, Chris.
Yeah. Do you know what? If I need a new partner, I'll just ask you that. You can just try and pair me up with someone, because we're good at that, aren't we? We're good at it, yeah.
Right. That is it. Reminder again. save aside 5 hours tomorrow evening for their away days. It's going to be massive. It's going to be massive.
He's gonna kill me tomorrow.
No. We'll do the impossible in keeping, and that's hopefully fingers crossed if you can join us, because I know we've got Champions League commitments. But so it might well be that Ben Jacobs is not on, so therefore we could have that chat without worry of a 20-minute answer to each question. Ben's fantastic for the channel, but I'm really excited to have Leicester Till I Die come and join us from their podcast. A different perspective. We love that different perspective from an away days point of view. And Jordan's already given his predicted lineup. He's properly on the button to come and join away days tomorrow night. So buzzing to talk all things Newcastle with him and preview the game with Leicester. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Thanks for everyone that watched tonight. I hope you enjoyed our analysis of squad game. And who knows? The summer things will chop and change. We have a massive summer ahead on both outgoings and incomings. We look forward to that. So expect more from us on that topic. So on that note, we'll go with the old outro tonight. Thanks everyone. Oh, you want a how? You want a how? You're going to have a how.
I love a how. He loves the how.
No, we're good. We're good.
Here's the how. Good night, everyone. How.